So guys, a car most of you will have known me for through Instagram, TikTok, things like that before I started posting on YouTube would have been my Mk6 Golf. Now a question I used to get asked a lot, even still get asked to this day to be honest, is how much did that car cost me to build? I'll tell you guys this before we even get into the details, that build cost me a lot of money. And in all honesty, it was money I didn't really need to spend. It was all down to the fact that I was younger, naive, I didn't know as much as I now know about cars, and just didn't have the knowledge when it comes to buying parts, where to buy them from. And obviously I can do a lot more of it myself now, whereas before I was paying labour for the most simple tasks, when in reality I could have just done on my driveway. But enough of my rambling and on to the main point of why you clicked this video, and that is how much did it cost to build my Mk6 Golf show car. Now I'll go through each modification I did to this car, we'll tally up at the end obviously how much it costs, and then we'll see a final figure of how much money I threw at that car. That'll be the cost for its final form, so to speak, as it did go through a few renditions, few versions in my ownership, different wheels, things like that, a few different looks. But this will be the cost breakdown of all the mods that I had on the car up until the point I sold the car, and up until the point it was my show car and doing all of the shows. Bear in mind, when I bought this car, it was a bone stock example, clean, untouched, and then 18-year-olds that came along. To start with, we have the car itself. Now, it pains me to say in 2024, but back in 2018, I bought this car for £6,250. And now bear in mind that is for a bone stock base model Mk6 Golf. But you live and learn, and we'll get straight onto the modifications. Now, the main modification to the car, and nowadays it's pretty much what you need to get into a car show if you're building a show car, and that is the suspension. On this car, I went with the Elif Performance 3P Slam Series kit, which when I bought it cost me £2,700, and that was from Driftworks. They were local to where I used to live. And in actual fact, that's the one thing that the price has actually gone up on the car. I think the same kit for the same car nowadays is about £3,500 if I'm not mistaken. Of course, along with the suspension, you need a set of shiny wheels to get that fitment sorted out. Now with this, very controversial, but we went with the TEC speed wheels, which yes, are reps, but I didn't have the budget for those then. And like I said, I wasn't willing to spend £4,000 on wheels when I didn't have a house yet. Now obviously I have a house, so we can get to buying real wheels for cars. Those TEC speed wheels, they were a great wheel, they looked great, they lasted the life of the car. They might still be on the car now for all I know, I'm not sure on the new owner what he's doing with the car. But when I bought those, they set me back £1,289. Of course, with 4 brand new wheels, we needed to get tyres. So we had a set of 4 brand new tyres, just went on budget because they were stretch tyres anyway. And they cost me £320 at the time. And of course we wanted that extra spicy fitment, being a show car, so I ran 25mm spacers on the front of that, and they cost me £60. Moving away from the suspension and fitment side of things, we have the more visual, cosmetic side of modifications on the car. Now there are a fair few, so to save you the hassle of sitting through me rambling about each one, I'll do a bit more of a quick fire of the modifications and the prices along with those. So there is various lights on the car. I opted for the VLand LED headlights and tail lights actually. They came as a set and they cost me £486, 50 pence to be precise. And that was for the front and rear lights, which I think was quite a good deal because that completely transformed the look of the car. Like I say, it was a base model Mk6, and having those LEDs, they were more of like a Mk7 look headlight. So I love them on the car, and the rears, they were the VLand tail lights, which looked like the tail lights that came on the Mk6R. As well as that, another lighting option we opted for was the sequential mirror indicators. They were only £25, a quick easy mod I did just off eBay. I say they actually transformed the car quite a lot, just changed those simple indicators to a nice sequential, which the headlights had the sequential feature, so then it all matched together. Onto the body kit side of things, we have the main mod I did, which was the Mk6R smooth front bumper with the gloss black grille and badge. Now that was an OEM bumper. At the time, I think that cost me about £980. You wouldn't catch me spending on a bumper nowadays, I'll tell you that for free. That was a big waste of money. I should have just got a rep bumper because they're all pretty much the exact same anyway. But yeah, that was £980. Then to tie in with that Mk6R bumper, we had the Mk6R side skirts. They were £200. The Mk6 GTI rear bumper, that was quite cheap actually. That was £160. That was a rep bumper, I believe. Then there's the carbon fibre rear spoiler, that was £240. The TRC front splitter to go on the front bumper, that was £110. Now, we did go through about 3 of those, but we'll obviously only account it for once. Of course, to go with that front splitter, we needed the sides. On the sides, there was the Maxon design side skirts. I wasn't a fan of the Maxon front splitter, but the TRC front lip, in my opinion, matched perfectly with the Maxon side skirt extensions. They were £184. Then going on to the rear, we had the Maxon design rear diffuser. That was £149 for the diffuser, and that also comes with the rear slats as well. So that was a full low line kit basically on the car. And then we have the most unique part of my car, the part I got questioned about the most and that people were more curious of, which was the smooth rear tailgate on the Mk6. Now that set me back £600. That was fully custom. Obviously you need to redo it, paint it, weld the plating and whatnot. I did keep the mechanism inside, much to everyone's confusion, as I was getting asked all the time, how do I open my boot? The mechanism was kept inside. I pressed the button on the keys and the boot opened just fine. A lot of people thought I just sacrificed the opening of my boot, which wasn't the case. So that's pretty much all for the exterior. On the interior side of things, we had the Mk7R steering wheel. That set me back about £400. If I had the car longer, I would have opted for the Mk7 steering wheels with the lights and whatnot, but this was the bone stock Mk7R steering wheel. Also, I managed to get some Recaro bucket seats off of a fellow Mk6 owner actually. He was selling those to get some wingbacks. I didn't have the budget for wingbacks, so I bought these Recaro seats off him for £750. Then of course with the air suspension, we had the rear mount tank and the full rear seat delete. I actually did that myself, so that didn't really cost much. I'm not going to include that in cost because it was just raw materials and the carpet, so it didn't cost much at all. This is when I started to actually do things myself on the car. Notable points on the actual car itself was the full exhaust system. Any of you ever heard this car, you'll know it was very loud, very obnoxious, very ASBO. That full exhaust system wasn't actually too bad. It was £850 for the full, that was a full 3-inch straight through exhaust, including the rear section to match the GTI bumper, and it was mapped as well. So that was £850 for the full exhaust and the map, which I don't think was bad at all. To go with the sound and the exhaust noise, we also had the Forge Motorsport dump valve. That was £371, £371.80 to be precise. There's a few other minor modifications which are worth mentioning as well. So we had full tints the whole way around. We had underglow on the car. I had Magna plates front and back. Interior LED lighting, the footwells, things like that. The car actually had drilled and grooved brakes. Not that it was fast enough to need them, but again, I was an immature car kid. Didn't know what I was doing. I was just modifying things for the sake of modifying them. Had a Mishimoto shift knob. Hego wind deflectors, and a few other little bits around the car, but they all totaled up to around £400 or £500, we'll say. And all of that money on modifications, that's not even including the cost of maintenance, as it had continuous maintenance throughout its life, being a VW. Also the cost of paint for all the body panels and things like that as well. But yeah, I'm not going to include those costs because that's just the things that come with owning a car, especially a Volkswagen. It needs the maintenance. But yeah, that is all the mods. So there we have it, guys. If you've been counting along the way, you will now know the full cost of the Mk6 build. But in total, the full cost to build my Mk6 Golf show car was... Now, that is a very painful number to see, considering it wasn't a fast car, wasn't a ridiculously amazing car, it was just your standard show car nowadays, pretty much. But I love that car, it taught me a lot. Like I say, if I was to do that car again, cost me a lot less to build, but at the end of the day, it's done. We live and learn. That car got me to where I am today. I do actually still miss that car quite a lot, and you'll see from that price that it lost me a lot of money, but I met all my friends along the way. I learned a lot on the way. It got me into car shows, modifying cars, and obviously prompted me to actually start doing the things myself, which now owning the BMW, obviously it helps with that a lot. And yes, as a car guy, we don't do this to make money. We do it as a passion, we do it because we enjoy the cars, we do it because we enjoy putting our own spin on things, we don't like leaving things stock, giving your car some personality, not just looking like an NPC. But like I say, if I was to do this car again, I could do the exact same build for probably a lot cheaper, a lot more efficiently. Hence why on the E46, I've done that as a more budget friendly, so to speak, build. Being my daily, obviously just buying this house, things like that. It basically puts it into perspective and you start looking and learning for things, where to get parts from, what mods to splash out on, what mods not to, where you can save money. Some things, don't get me wrong, you should always spend more money on, because more money in some cases does equal higher quality parts, which I believe you should always go for, especially when it comes to a car you're driving, because essentially it's your life at hand. So yeah, that is the cost of the Mk6 show car build. If you did enjoy this style of video, make sure you let me know in the comments below. I can always make one on the BMW potentially. Make sure you drop the video a like, and of course subscribe so you don't ever miss a video. There will be a new video every single Sunday at 5 PM, so don't miss out. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.